Hello everyone, my name is Mia Young and I'm the lifestyle coordinator at the Overture in Frisco. And today I'm going to teach you guys how to make a candied sweet potato casserole. It's a winner. As you can see, I do have my boiled sweet potatoes. They're already quartered, and butter on top. I put butter on top of it right whenever it comes out because it's easier to mix that way. And then I also have my melted butter for the topping right here. And in this bowl, I have pecans, brown sugar, and flour mixed together. This is kind of gonna be your candied pecan mixture. And this melted butter is going right in here. So I'll go ahead and mix that together. So the very first thing that you do is just peel, cut, and boil your potatoes. You can't really move too much further past that. And then this is going to be the candied pecan topping. So you just go ahead and mix it all the way through with a spoon. Don't mix it with a mixture. Mixer. And it gets kind of thick. That's perfectly fine because it's just all gonna caramelize on top anyways before you put the marshmallows on. So this is what it looks like, the candied pecan mixture. Nothing too crazy. So I'm gonna go ahead and set this aside. And I'm using a masher to kind of mix everything. I always do this just because I like a little texture in my potatoes. I don't like to just have straight smooth potatoes. If you do, then you can mix with a mixture. But I always, kind of start off with a masher anyways, even if I do. I actually make two of these, one for people who like texture and one for people who don't on like Thanksgiving dinner day, because gotta cater to the people. So, so I just kind of mash through, have the butter kind of melt through the entire mixture. So I just kind of push it through so it can melt and get a little hotter. And then I'll just leave it underneath some potatoes for now while we add in the rest of our seasonings. So the recipe doesn't call for brown sugar, but I like to put brown sugar in my sweet potatoes. So I'm just gonna put a little bit of brown sugar in there, not too much, maybe about, let me say that's like half a cup, not that much. I just like that it kind of adds to the sweetness of the potatoes. So we'll go ahead and mash that in. There's a few lumps in the brown sugars, but it will melt. And you also kind of want to mix around the butter a little bit. Okay, got that mashed in a little bit. Okay, and then we're going to add 2 eggs. So we've got 2 eggs in there. We've also got to add half a cup of milk. You can add a little bit more milk if you want smoother texture. So add those, go ahead and mix that in there. See how it gives it more like a fluffier, like lighter texture right when you put the milk in there. Show you. Get it mixed in really well. And now for the seasonings. Another thing that the recipe doesn't call for is honey. I do like to add a little bit of honey, not too much, for some additional sweetener. So that's maybe like a tablespoon. And then we'll go ahead, it calls for a teaspoon of vanilla. Do just a little bit more. Okay. And then sprinkle just a little bit of salt. Not too much. Go ahead and mix that in. Okay. And then it also calls for a teaspoon of cinnamon, which for cinnamon, I love cinnamon, so I add a little bit more. Okay, maybe not a little bit, a lot of it, but I mean, I like to taste the seasonings in my sweet potato casserole the same way that you would in like a sweet potato pie. So I add a little bit more. I'd rather the seasonings be more overpowering than the sweetness of it, but that's just my personal preference. Okay, and then it calls for about half a teaspoon of pumpkin pie spice. I'm gonna add a little bit more because, as you guys know, I love seasoning. And then it also calls for 1/4 teaspoon of nutmeg. Nutmeg, you don't really need that much of because it's already pretty strong. So go ahead and mix that. Okay, and then the recipe does call for like, I think it's, let me see. So it calls for a cup of water. Personally, I think that that would make the potatoes very liquidy. I would prefer to use just like a little bit more milk to make it more textured, or I'm sorry, lighter. So I'm just going to, and not that much, because who likes liquidy potatoes? And then it also takes away from the seasoning if you add too much. So literally, and it is an art, so feel free to taste and add more of what you want to add more of, which I'm actually going to go ahead and do as well. Okay. Yep, that's good. Okay. So now what we're gonna go ahead and do is I'm gonna go ahead and put the sweet potatoes in, so the recipe says you can use a 9x13 baking dish. I'm gonna go ahead and put it in this foil pan because it's easier for me. So let's move this. Gotta grab a spatula. Okay, you can just fold it on in there. Okay, and then just spread it around the pan. Make sure it's spread relatively evenly because you don't want to have the candied pecans and marshmallows kind of overflow the pan. So you can press it down as much as you'd like to. Make sure you have a little bit of room at the top. Okay, and I've already preheated my oven to 375, so it's already heated. The next thing that we're going to do is put the candied pecan mixture on top. It doesn't have to be too evenly because again, it does caramelize and liquefy. So I'm just breaking up the mixtures. And then we'll go ahead and put some on. Just spread it around relatively evenly, but again, doesn't have to be perfect. Okay, looks good. Okay, and now what we're gonna do with the oven being on 375 is we're gonna go ahead and bake this for about 15 to 20 minutes. And then when you pull it out after that time, we throw some marshmallows on top. And then we put it back in the oven for about 5 minutes or until the marshmallows kind of get big, puffy, and a little bit brown, not too brown because you don't want them to be too crisp. And then the casserole comes out finished at that point. So I will go ahead and put it in the oven for the 15 to 20 minutes, and I will be back right after. Hello everyone, I'm back. I just pulled the casserole out of the oven. So the candied mixture kind of just browned on top, which is perfectly okay. So it kind of, I don't know if you guys can tell, because the bottom part of the color is still pretty light, but the top is a little bit more browned. And now we're gonna go ahead and spread the marshmallows over the top. And it calls for about 2 to 3 cups of marshmallows. I just kind of measure how much I wanna put on it by how it looks on top. Obviously you don't wanna put too much because then there's not room for the marshmallows to spread. And I will show you guys what mine looks like before and after I put it in the oven. Okay. And I'm just spreading them. I know you guys can't see. Still can't see. Okay, that's better. Okay, so I'm just gonna spread the marshmallows around on the casserole. A lot of chunks here. And there's just a couple places, like on the corner here. I wanna put more, and again, it's okay if there's gaps because they're just gonna grow and spread anyways. And I'm dropping them. Okay, so this is good. This is what it looks like from the top. So pretty simple, and then you just go ahead and stick it back in the oven for another 5 minutes or until the marshmallows are a little bit brown. So I will show you guys what that looks like. So guys, this is the finished product. This is what the very delicious sweet potato casserole looks like whenever you pull it out. If the marshmallows aren't too hard, which they're not, so gooey. and ready to eat. So you just let it cool and you can serve it, I mean, any kind of way. You can serve it as a dessert, or you can serve it as a side to like some chicken and green beans. Totally up to you guys. So thank you so much for watching. Let us know if you have any questions as always, and we would love to see your finished products.